Hello everyone. I had a comment on my last video that I uploaded, the medical supplies that you'll need for phalloplasty video, that had a bunch of questions in it. So thank you to the person who asked all those questions. I figured it'd just be easier if I made a video and answered them all talking rather than trying to type out a bunch of stuff. Figured I'd be able to get my feelings across better in a video. So thank you for all the questions. If anybody in the future wants to ask questions that they want me to answer in a video, please leave them in the comments. Let me know. I'm willing to talk about my experience. And so anything, even if you think it might be off limits or that it's too much that you're asking, if it's something that for whatever reason I don't want to answer, then I will absolutely let you know. I won't be mad. I don't get mad at people for asking questions unless you're blatantly trying to be rude or hurtful towards me. But yeah, there's just a few questions here. The first one is, does the surgical center give you a supply list? And they did, sort of. They gave you a list of things they want you to bring with you, most of which you don't actually use. And then, which is like, they give you a list of like the amount of clothing and the amount of what type of underwear and all of this stuff, like things that you should bring with you, none of which I ended up using except for my bathrobe, the mirror that they suggested you bring, and like obviously toothbrush, toothpaste, whatever. But I didn't end up wearing pretty much any of the clothing that they suggested because you're naked the entire time, and then you just put a bathrobe on when you have to leave your room. But I don't know why they suggest you bring clothing and underwear, because they have hospital underwear that you're wearing, and they tell you to just wear your bathrobe all the time. So you're not supposed to be wearing pants or anything, so I don't know why they tell you to bring them. But in regards to medical supplies, the only thing that they list that you should have ready for your return home is vitamin E cream, the 4x8 gauze, which I showed in my last video, and the pee pads, the blue pee pads, which I also showed in my last video. Those three things are not the only things you need. Absolutely, I can tell you right now. I showed you in the last video all the supplies that I've been using. They do give you a lot of stuff. Like, I went home with a massive bag full of medical supplies. However, it wasn't enough. It was enough for the first few days when you get home, but definitely not enough to sustain the amount of time you're supposed to be using those things. So I don't know why they don't have a more comprehensive list of things that you're supposed to get. But literally the only medical supplies on the list that they tell you to get is the 4x8 gauze, the blue pee pads, and vitamin E cream. And as you can see in my last video, I've been using a lot of different products that they never told me to buy. It wasn't until I got there and was in recovery that I knew I would need that stuff. And I just so happened to talk to some guys before I left who said, go and get saline, go and get different sizes of gauze, go and get polysporin, go get adaptic dressing. Which, I mean, if you don't have the money to be spending on supplies, get the 4x8, the pee pads, and the vitamin E cream. Those are things you absolutely will need. But wait and see what supplies they give you, and then if you're up for it, or you have somebody who can go out and get more supplies for you, do it that way. I ended up overbuying a few different things that I didn't have to buy because I got enough from the surgical center that sustained the amount of time I had to use them, which may be why they don't tell you to buy those things, because they're expecting to give you enough of it. But there were some things that I did need more of that they didn't give me enough of. And then I know other people who needed more polysporin than they gave them because their leg was bandaged longer than mine was. So I didn't need the extra polysporin that I went and bought, but some other people did. So basically, just if you have the money, it's easier to have it on hand already, because you will not feel up for going to the store and hunting down medical supplies when you're in recovery, at least not for the first couple weeks. So I made sure that I had enough stuff that would sustain me for a couple weeks so that I could stay home and recover, and then have to go out and buy some more afterward. So the next question was, how much time does post-op care take every day? At the beginning, when you're in the recovery home, basically the whole time you're there, you're doing stuff like I shouldn't say that. Like, you're resting most of the time, but the whole time feels like you're in recovery mode because you are. But once you get home, basically, you still have to lay naked pretty much as possible. I slept completely open to the air, like my phallus. So I slept with a blanket over from my thighs downward, and then from like my abdomen upward. Um, but my phallus was open to the air and propped up on the towels and stuff, the way that they show you how to do it, so that it gets airflow on the scrotum area and everywhere. Uh, so basically, you are bedridden for a while when you get home because you can't necessarily, maybe you can, but you still have the catheter and everything. So when you get up, you have to put the underwear up and position the catheter and everything so it's not tugging, bandage everything so that stuff isn't all mushed on itself. Um, you're not really supposed to be walking around just like with it dangling. It has to be propped up and put to the side and whatever in a specific way. So basically, you're bedridden for a while because you have to be naked and airing everything out for as long as possible. And that lasted a few weeks. I think I did that for at least 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks when I got home. I was naked all day, just airing out. You're also tired and you don't really want to get out of bed that much anyway. So that feels like a long time. Um, the You have to do the saline with the little spray bottle thing that I showed in my last video. You have to do that once a day, and you do it opposite of your shower. So if you're showering in the morning, you do the saline spray in the evening. That takes about 5-10 minutes if you want to be super thorough and like whatever, but it really takes like 5 minutes to spray it, and then just pat it dry with gauze. Um, so that the showering is the biggest part, because you have to shampoo, conditioner, wash the rest of your body with regular soap if you want, and then you have to do the surgery sites with non-scented soap after that. So you wash the phallus in all the different places, wash your leg with the unscented soap, and then take off this bandage, the top one, the ace bandage, before you get in the shower, but you leave on the gauze underneath. Once you've washed everything else, you unwrap the gauze, wash the whole graft with the unscented soap, rinse everything off thoroughly, do not leave any soap on your surgery sites, and then you have to air dry for an hour. At first, it's air drying for an hour everything, so like your leg, your phallus, and your arm. At this point, I'm now 7 weeks post-op. I'm only air drying the arm at this point. Everything else, like I'm now pat drying my leg because it's not, the towel doesn't irritate it or anything at this point. I'm pat drying the phallus, and it's drying fast enough that I don't need to leave it open to the air for a long time. But the arm has to air out for an hour. You can't be towel drying it. So that is the biggest issue with with me at this point in regards to post-op care, because I can't just, like, if someone calls me and says, hey, can you be here right now? I can't just quickly hop in the shower and then get dressed and go. I need to take a half-hour shower because everything takes so long to do in the shower, and then air dry for an hour, and then wrap the arm up, which now takes me about 2 minutes because I'm used to it and I'm fast at it, but at the beginning took me like an hour. So now just showering in the morning takes me an hour and a half, because with the shower, the air drying, and then the rewrapping of everything is about an hour and a half of time, which is a long time. And then the 5-minute saline spray in the evening. Other than that, I don't have much post-op care at this point besides just keeping an eye on things. But yeah, at the beginning, when you're still like poking your arm with the needle to get fluid out, wiping it, and then doing the adaptic, doing the different types of gauze, and then putting the thing on, it was taking me about an hour. Especially with like putting vitamin E cream on my leg at the same time, and then situating the phallus and whatever. Showering, that whole process was taking about 2.5 hours. And that was for the first like 2.5 weeks from the point that I was able to shower. So at that point would be like 3.5 weeks out of surgery. Um, yeah, it felt like a long time. At this point, now I'm just faster at everything and I don't need to air dry everything except the arm. So at this point, when I get out of the shower, I air dry a little bit while I'm doing my androgel testosterone, while I do my deodorant and just kind of putter around my room. I'm naked so that my phallus is air drying. I put the vitamin E cream on my leg, which takes a few minutes to dry, and then I put my underwear and stuff on. I can put my shirt on, just a t-shirt so that my arm is open to the air, and then I can wander around my house and do regular stuff during the air drying hour. Whereas before, to air dry, you literally had to be in your bed with your arm propped up, your phallus propped up, everything open to the air. You couldn't move for an hour. And then you have to do the whole rewrapping of everything. Also, when you get home for the first few days, still you're wrapping your leg. So you do the polysporin, put the telfa gauze, put the net over top, and that all happens after the hour of air drying, which is why that added to the hour of rebandaging everything. It was a long time. Thankfully, the only thing that you're really required to do is showering and then the saline spray. So it's a few hours of post-op care a day, and now I'm at the point where it's about an hour of post-op care a day with the air drying, and then a slightly longer shower because I used to take like 10-minute showers, and that doesn't happen anymore. So yeah, it's a lot of post-op care. Just you can't really just drop everything and go do something unless you want to smell really bad. You can choose to not shower before you go and do stuff, but you do have to shower every day to make sure everything is clean. Next question was, do I feel different emotionally, mentally, or in like how I see myself? I don't know. I feel, and this has happened with every surgery I've had trans related, I just feel really normal afterward. Like I just look and go like, yeah, that seems right, rather than like an overwhelming happiness or an overwhelming, whatever. I Now my phallus is at a point where it doesn't look disgusting. It still looks like a surgery site because there's still like visible scarring and everything everywhere, but it doesn't look gross. I don't have drains anymore. I don't have a catheter anymore. Like it looks more normal than it did before. And so I can actually appreciate it a bit when I walk past a mirror and I'm naked, or I walk past a mirror and I see a bulge like in my pants. I definitely underlying, I feel happier. I I just feel at peace. Like it's just that thing. It's the same thing I do when I walk past a mirror and I see my chest. Even to this day, years past top surgery, I walk past a mirror and I admire my chest. I paid a lot of money for it, so I'm going to admire it. It's the same with the phallus. It's like I walk past a mirror and I notice it, and or I feel it, or I'm readjusting or whatever. Like it's just a happiness kind of thing. However, I'm still in recovery mode. I'm still in a bit of pain. I'm still dealing with some complications and things that are frustrating, and I know that this is going to be a very long recovery. I also still have no tactile or erogenous sensation in my genitals at all. So it's a very bizarre feeling. And so I'm still very much in recovery mode. Um, I feel, I don't think I see myself differently, but again, it's not functioning to its full potential right now. I'm only 7 weeks post-op. I think that once things start to once the nerves start to reconnect properly and things start to start working a bit better, I'll feel better potentially. Maybe I'll feel worse. I don't know, but I do feel like an underlying kind of peace. But yeah, I also feel like this haze, like surgery didn't actually happen. I think this was just something that felt like such a far off dream for a long time, and just something that never would actually happen. That even though I've had the first stage of surgery, I still in my head am going like, oh God, I don't really want to have surgery, but I'm realizing that I've already had it. I still have more surgery to go, but like I just keep remembering that same feeling of like anticipation of it, and then I already have a phallus, like it's already there. So I don't really know what I'm worried about. But it just feels like it didn't happen. It feels like all this weird, bizarre dream and everything that's happened these past couple months just is some weird thing that I'm gonna wake up from. It doesn't feel real, so I'm a bit hazy still on what all happened, and I think that's my mind trying to cope with the pain and the fear and everything that I went through, because this was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. It was terrifying. The recovery was a lot, at the beginning, a lot worse than I ever could have expected. Um, I was completely immobile and so like at a loss for what I was supposed to be doing. I thought that I had made a mistake and couldn't believe that I had willingly walked into that operating room and done this to myself. Um, but I'm, as far as like, do I feel different? Yes, I am really proud of myself. I am not embarrassed to say that. I am extremely proud of myself for getting through this and continuing to get through this. This is a very hard recovery. Um, and I still can't believe that I had the courage to walk into that operating room. I have no idea how I did that. Um, and I'm completely blown away with my own resolve to make this happen. Um, yeah, like I cannot, when I think back to that hospital time and that recovery time in Montreal, I'm like, I cannot believe I did that. I'm really, really, this is an experience that I will live with this for the rest of my life. And I am really, really proud of myself and really, like, I feel like I can take on the world at this point. I can't believe that I did that. It is, it was really scary. It was really, really scary. And yeah, I definitely feel a lot stronger, and that all of these little complications that I am having right now are nothing compared to what I went through. So yeah, I do feel different. It's just all still kind of a haze at this point, and I'm trying to work through everything. But yeah, and then the final question that this person had was, what was the most challenging part of recovery so far? I would say not being able to escape it. Um, I was in the recovery home and I was talking with a lot of the other trans people there, all of which were trans women, but just saying, like, if I could just have 5 minutes where this just wasn't happening, where I could just be completely okay for just 5 minutes and recharge my batteries, I think I'll be fine. But you don't get a break ever. There's no break. Even when you're sleeping, sorry about that. Even when you're sleeping, you're still in pain. You're still extremely uncomfortable. Um, Everything is a lot harder to do than it was before. Um, it's winter and it's a nasty winter right now in Canada, in Ontario. So I haven't really been able to go outside. Um, I love walking and I haven't really been able to go walking because my parents are terrified I'm going to slip and fall. Um, I think like the smell, this it's a little bit better now, or it's actually a lot better now, but I still smell like surgery. Sorry, I've moved. People were disturbing me. Um, the smell of all of the fluids and disgusting stuff that's going on with your body is horrendous, and you can't escape it. Everything, the pain, even when you're on pain meds, the discomfort, the itchiness, this I can't get over the smell. I am very sensitive to smells, and trying to eat when all you can smell is blood and urine and pus and just gross, disgusting stuff that no matter how much time you spend cleaning yourself with saline or washing yourself in the shower, it doesn't go away. is disgusting. You know, you're eating and all you can smell is that, and you have to be laying naked, so all you can see is your surgery sites, and you just don't have an appetite, and you're trying to sleep and you're so uncomfortable because you have your arm elevated, your leg and your phallus are exposed to the air so you can't get warm, and it's just, you're woken up every hour so they can do the Doppler and check to make sure that your phallus is actually alive. Um, it's just, and even now, 7 weeks later, sleeping is still very uncomfortable. Because you have to either sleep on your back, or at this point, I can sleep on my side, but I have to stick a pillow in between my legs to keep so there's no pressure on my phallus, which is not comfortable. And my back started to hurt from sleeping on my back and being propped up in bed all day and hunched over, and it just, everything, the most challenging part is not being able to escape it. There is, now I'm having moments where I forget and I'm not whatever, but even when I'm sitting at my desk, like, you know, you move a little bit and all of a sudden your phallus, like, you can feel it's being squished and you have to reposition, and you know, or like nerves or whatever, something's happening down there where I'm starting to get more feeling, just slightly, not anything major, um, but like there will be like a zing of pain all of a sudden, and you're like, where did that come from? You know, your arm, you think that you're doing well and everything's moving and whatever, and then you move it in one position and it's instant pain. um, and it's just not being able to escape the recovery at all is the worst part and the most challenging. It's better now, but even still, like, there's so much that I wish I could be doing that I can't do still. um, and it's just, when you have this surgery, you are signing yourself up for months and months and months of recovery. um, and I understood that going into it, but it's different, you know, just acknowledging it versus living it. Um, and I'm a lot more mobile than I think some people are. I'm very young. I'm only 22, so I'm healing really well. Um, I haven't had any super like major complications or anything so far, at least, and pray that I don't at this point. But once I got out of that, you know, first little bit, um, like, I'm healing really, really well, and even still, there's a lot I can't do, and a lot that I still have to do recovery wise. So it's just that it's so long. Like, for me, top surgery and the hysterectomy, I was up and mobile really quickly, and I was able to kind of get back to normal pretty quickly. This is not the same thing. And then the other part is knowing that this isn't the end of it. I still have 3 more stages of surgery to go, and knowing that is quite terrifying because I know that I'm recovering to a point where I can then go in for the next stage, and it's just never ending, it feels like. Whereas with like top surgery and hysterectomy, it was just one procedure, and I could decide whether or not I was going for another surgery about another part of my body at whatever time, you know. Whereas this is like, I have a timeline, I have a deadline with the government of how long they're going to cover this for me. I have, you know, Montreal's timeline that I have to follow, and it's just kind of like one thing after the other. I have to go get laser hair removal on a portion of my genitals so that they can do stage 2. And so that means I'm recovering now and getting over this pain now, only to invite more pain into my life very soon, and do that until I'm ready for the next stage, which means more pain. And it's just, the not being able to escape and not having a break is the most challenging part. And you need to mentally prepare yourself for that, because otherwise this will destroy you. And yeah, I knew it going into it, but it's very different living it. Um, and I don't regret it. I love my results so far and I'm really happy. But I just want people to be going in with realistic expectations that this is not just a have surgery today and tomorrow you're awesome. Like, it's a long recovery, and it's hard to enjoy the phallus when you can't even feel it. Like, it doesn't have any tactile or erogenous sensation at all. So when I touch it, I can't feel that I'm touching it. It's completely numb. So it doesn't necessarily feel completely like a part of my body yet because I can't even feel it. So yeah, it's tough, but I am happy with it, and I hope that my recovery continues to go, just kind of uphill from here. But yes, so thank you for the questions. I didn't mention your name because I didn't know if you wanted me to or not. But if anybody else has questions, or just anyone in general, if you have any questions about phalloplasty, my experience, please let me know. If you want me to make a video about a particular topic, or if I've made a video and you want me to elaborate more on it, please let me know. Like I said, I won't get mad or I won't get offended unless you're intentionally trying to make me mad or offend me. I'm pretty much an open book. I want people to have information. I want people to know what they're getting into, because I didn't really have a lot of help going into phalloplasty, and I think that it really made a difference, because I didn't really know what I was getting into. I tried my best to find resources, but it was tough to find resources for the surgeon I went to, and yeah, it's just, I'd like to help people as much as I can. So yeah, thank you for watching. See ya.